Hey everyone, my name is Sandu and this is Devlog 2.5 for my upcoming survival horror game. The reason why it's not Devlog 3 is because in this video I'm not gonna be talking about the progress I've made, as I usually do in my devlogs, but I'm gonna be talking about how, in my opinion, I solved one of the biggest problems that most survival games have. I will also discuss some monsters that will be in the game, and I'll just discuss some ideas and future plans and the direction in which the project will be going.
But before we start, pause the video and subscribe to my channel. It takes you just a second to make my day. Good.
There are plenty of survival games on the market, and some of them are really well made. Some, a little less. But from my experience, most of them repeat the same mistake, and it's a pretty big mistake. They go for open world games instead of storytelling. Now, hear me out on this one. I know some games are intended to be open world, like a sandbox or something like that, but most of the games that are made now just use this as an excuse not to make any kind of storytelling. Because adding any kind of storytelling into an open world game is a quite challenging task. Nonetheless, that's something extremely important, because often playing these survival games, I would have fun for a few hours and then I'll catch myself with the thought, why am I doing this? Why do I need that? And currently only a few games were able to actually answer this question.
RimWorld and The Forest are two very good examples. In RimWorld, you'll have to focus on the survival of your whole colony. However, from the very beginning, when you're dropped on the planet, you have an end goal: to get the fuck out from this planet. In order to do that, you'll have to advance through a technology tree, build a spaceship, and fly away on that spaceship. In The Forest, on the other hand, you have a plot presented through a cinematic intro. At start, your plane crashes and your son is kidnapped by some guy covered in blood. Your goal in the forest is to save the kid. So, here is what they've decided to do in order to take care of that. The game will start with the main character talking via radio with some soldiers, and the player will be asking for help. From the dialogue, you'll find out that you're playing as a soldier who got in trouble. He is asking for assistance from the base, but due to some problems, help won't be able to arrive faster than a few weeks. The last message the soldier will hear will be something like, "We will be there in 34 days, hold out."
And that's also, by the way, where the player will first hear the name of the game. Yeah, I came up with the name for the game, and that's gonna be Hold Out, which basically means try to survive until help arrives, or something like that.
I found only one game with a similar name, which was also made by an indie developer and was released on Steam. It's also named Hold Out, but the genre of the game is completely different from what I'm aiming to create. So his game is some sort of first-person shooter, while mine will be a top-down survival game. So I don't think there should be problems with that.
So, why this intro for the game? There are actually several reasons why that's a good approach. The first reason is the fact that it takes care of the problem that I was talking in the beginning of this video. Now the player knows what his purpose is. He knows that in X amount of days, help will arrive, so the goal is to survive that amount of days. Second reason why that's a good approach is because it doesn't require any work except of the actual intro. You don't have to throw any plot elements on the map, you don't have to do anything except of the actual intro. In order to give purpose for the player. And that's the most important in programming, how you can save time, how you can be most efficient, and so on. The forest requires a map being built around the whole plot idea, with caves and stuff like that, while RimWorld requires a whole technology tree, a whole system for that. While this method doesn't really require any work except of the intro.
The idea of making the player survive for a certain amount of days is not new. You could find it in games like 7 Days to Die, however, in my opinion, it wasn't implemented properly there, and that heavily inspired me to create my own one. The game will challenge you to survive for 7 days. At night number 7, there will be a blood moon, an in-game event when the player is being attacked by hordes of zombies, but if you manage to survive, which by the way was extremely easy because you could just craft a lot of wooden spikes around your base, you would lose the only goal in the game.
I would indeed feel motivated to play for the first 7 days, but after that the motivation would very quickly vanish. And that's basically how I came up with this idea. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about it. As I've mentioned before, I want to make the game heavily focused on survival. So I want the player to struggle not only in every fight that he will have, but even just to survive. So hunting, scavenging, gathering will be a crucial part of the game. Crafting as well. But the game will be full of different dangers, and a few of the ideas were offered by you, and I would like now to discuss the ones that I liked the most.
One of the enemies will be a little girl resembling the one from The Ring or the Grudge movie, and the unique thing about it will be the fact that she will be saying innocent and comforting things while trying to kill you. So during the fight she will say things like, "Do you want to be friends?" or "Please don't hurt me," and so on, confusing the player into thinking that she perhaps is not hostile. She will lure the player with her cry, by the way. Next enemy is the Doppelganger. Doppelgangers will live in the mirror dimension, so you'll be able to meet them next to mirrors or maybe other reflective materials. But the idea is that they will look quite similar to the player, and if the player comes too close, they'll try to drag and swap places with the player, so they will lock the player in the mirror dimension, thus freeing themselves from it. Next enemy is the Stalker. It will look similar to the Rake from Creepypasta, if you've heard about it, but with some combined features of other creatures. It will hunt the player and attack while he's not looking, but will freeze in place when it's spotted. If the player will stare for too long at the Stalker, the latter will get enraged and will attack the player.
Those were just few of all that I have. There still is Sphere of Knowledge, the Shadow Seeker, Coven of Seven Witches, and if you want to see a similar video based on the other enemies, let me know in the comments down below. Those were actually the good news. Now it's time for the bad ones. Sadly. Well, so initially I was planning on making the game co-op, but then I quickly realized that in order to do that, you need to have the whole online multiplayer structure of the whole project inside your head before actually starting, because a single player game has a completely different structure from a multiplayer game. And I've never did a multiplayer project before, so I'm not really sure how to do that. And I don't think a project this ambitious is the one where I should start learning that. So I think I'm gonna do some multiplayer projects, some side projects, smaller ones, and when I'll learn, perhaps I'll make the second part called. We'll see. Besides Holdout, I have few projects in my mind at the moment, and I really want to work on all of them, but I don't have time. Most probably the next video will be about one of my university projects, because I think it's quite interesting, and that's also machine learning related. The project basically is we have to train a drone to explore a room by itself. Like, we have to make an autonomous drone. So it has to find the landing platform, land on it, and all of that has to be autonomous. Another idea is to bring Chickles back to the channel, so make AI Learns to Survive too. I was planning that for a while now, and I think it's time. Now that the AI Learns to Survive one is skyrocketing, thanks God, hopefully it won't go away. Well, I think it's the best time to make AI Learns to Survive too. So that's also in my to-do list. Also, I'm planning on making some sort of a game that will include Chickles, perhaps a game where you have to help the machine learning agent survive somehow. So yeah, you'll be able to help Chickles survive in some ways. I haven't thought that through, but that's an idea that I have.
Also, make sure to join our Discord server where you can make many new friends. Our community is slowly growing, and day by day more and more penguins are joining us. You can find the link in the description and the comments down below.
That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye!